a guy that we both know, Andrew Huberman. You run his podcast. He was on our show. An amazing man. His morning routine, which many people have sought after with kind of great interest, which includes fasted exercise, early light exposure, delayed caffeine, sometimes cold immersion, has kind of become hugely popular and kind of is often painted, I guess, as a universal prescription. And I'm curious, from kind of your work, how might elements of that routine, how might that kind of be, or I guess work differently for men and women based on, I guess, what we now know about, I guess, sex specific physiology?
Yeah, so we laugh and we're like, yeah, that's very bro science. Yep. Loud voice bro science. So we look at that whole protocol, the light exposure is the only one that's really good for women. So light exposure, again, it's all about circadian reset. Um, for the no caffeine for 90 minutes or so, that's to avoid the cortisol peak. If you are having something with your caffeine, so you're having some food or something with it, that doesn't affect cortisol because you're having food that's dampening some of that response. Because for women especially, the hypothalamus is like, hey, there's nutrition, I can drop the cortisol. Um, we know that fasted training isn't great for women. We just described all of that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then when we talk about cold exposure, I think a couple of months ago, I was like really slammed on social media because, I went out. It's like women shouldn't be doing ice baths or cold plunge because it's too much of a stress on the body. So women, if you're doing 14 degrees Celsius water, cool water exposure, you'll get some benefit. That's the same as men, but it will not be as robust. We see in the literature and in the science that has been done really well that women who get into ice, it's too much of a sympathetic stress and we don't get the same benefits. We get into more of a survival mode. And then when we do get into cool water, not ice water, so that's that 10 to 16 degree, depending on your tolerance, you will start to get parasympathetic and metabolic changes. But again, they're not as robust as men's. We see a difference in the heat. We see that
Mm.
heat exposure for women is really beneficial. We see an increase in metabolic activity, meaning that we have better glucose control. We have more of a heat shock coupling device or response. We see better responses with our blood pressure because we have better vasodilatory and constricting responses, especially when we get heat exposure. Men will have the same, but they can't tolerate the heat as well because of thermoregulatory differences between the sexes. So this is where we're like, if I were to design a protocol and have the voice of Andrew, then I would say for women, let's get up and have some food before we go training. If you want your caffeine, make sure that it is with some protein and carbohydrate so that we can offset that cortisol peak, especially if you're having food, then you don't have to worry. Light exposure, definitely. We want that light exposure for circadian rhythm. And then after your training, get in the sauna for 10 minutes because one, that's going to extend your training stress load and improve your training, responses, but is also going to feed forward into better health outcomes. If you want to do cool water exposure, because I know that there's a big set in the UK and Scandinavia that love ocean swimming and cold water dips, make sure it's not ice. Like you can get in the sea here in New Zealand, it's 14 degrees. That's cold enough.